4. Welcome to this edition of the Wonderbury podcast.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dave.
And you can find us online at wonderbury.com.
I am Wonderly on Twitter.
And I'm Brian Keysbury, anywhere the internet can be found.
You can leave us a comment on our website. Check for the link in the description.
Woohoo.
What a
Yes, sir. How'd your Dodgers do?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, moving on.
You know what? I'll say this is that my Dodgers did not win, for start. But that was probably the most entertaining, best, complete 7-game World Series I have ever seen in my life.
Good.
You never knew what was going to happen. What was that game? The game 3 or game 5? They scored like 7 runs in extra innings.
That was pretty wild.
This stuff was unheard of what was going on. And my hats and kudos to the Astros.
Yeah.
Their first World Series in club history.
Yep.
That's congratulations, Astros.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really was. But it's hockey season, so.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Things are doing well.
I found a new sport that I absolutely love to death now, and I think it's probably the greatest sport of all time. Air sex. And we went to the World Championships here in Grand Rapids, and it was amazing.
Yeah?
Yes. It's like air guitar, but without guitars and with sex.
So it's just people grinding a stage or grinding gear.
And stuff. It was amazing. And the people competing were really good, and it's no wonder they were in the World Championship Series because, wow, it was fantastic. There's no way to describe it either. Like I don't know. I have no idea how to describe it.
I've kind of looked stuff up on YouTube over it, because when you were telling me about it, I kind of looked it up. There wasn't a lot online to be like video-wise to watch this stuff, but it was somewhat impressive. I'll give them that. They've got it was interesting.
Some of them were really good. The guy that was putting on the show, the comedian, like, he had a whole choreographed routine to a song. And it was so good. It was so good. It was one of the funniest things I've seen in my lifetime. And then from there, it was like karaoke, where people in the crowd could come up and put their names in the hat and go on stage and do their own thing. And it was great. It was so good.
Did you go on stage?
Nope.
You tried?
No, but I think I will next year. I think I will. Either that or we're gonna arrange for him to come to Fort Wayne, and I will come down. Because
that would be entertaining.
That would be great. It was amazing. And they did 2 rounds. So the first round, you got up and you did your own solo thing to the song you picked out. Yeah. And there was 5 judges who kind of critiqued you. And then after everybody got through that first round, the judges picked out the 3 best. And all 3 of them got on stage and performed to the same song. And then you just cheered for the winner, who won a literal bag of dicks. It was a bag full of sex toys. They won a bag of dicks. It was I laughed so hard because of that. I was just like, I never thought that was going to be a good prize, and here I am, like, Dang, I wish I was competing because I would want to win that.
Interesting.
Great time. Great time.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see, look up airsexworld.com. If it's coming to your town, go check it out. Have a good time. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
Guarantee you it will be a great time. If you compete, let us know.
Yeah. No, it's been we're nearing the end of 2017, brother. Can you believe that? We're in November already.
Yep.
And I think it's this, if I recall, double check. But early last month, about a month ago, AOL announced that it was going to be shutting down its ever popular AOL.
Yep. Oh well.
And it's going to be shutting down December 15th of this year. The last day that you can send AOL. And it kind of got me thinking, there's a lot, I used AIM quite a bit back in the day. It's been, 20-something years? Yeah. 1997, so yeah. I used it a lot back in the day. Between it and ICQ, I think two top ones by far that I use for instant messaging. But it kind of got me thinking of, a lot of stuff that we use and that we kind of take for granted or that we use most of our lives has an end. And even stuff that's not necessarily brand new, or not brand new, but old, still has an end date. And there was a couple of things that kind of came to mind throughout. And so I kind of thought we might talk about that a bit.
Yeah.
I'll bounce some stuff off you, and we'll kind of see what we can kind of talk about it a bit. But AIM, I mean, that's, like I said, that was... I still think the question that haunts me to this day is ASL.
Is what?
ASL. Age, sex, location.
I haven't heard that in like 15 years.
I know, right?
That's amazing.
It's one of those things it's been around for so long that it became iconic. Not only did everyone use AOL back in the day because of the stupid free,
yeah,
we got so many hours or whatever of internet time, but the entire movie You Got Mail was completely built around use of AOL and internet dating. Its infancy.
Yep.
That was at Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, I think, one of the few movies they did together. I keep getting that one and the Seattle stuff, but yeah,
that wasn't Tom Hanks though. I didn't think.
What, in You've Got Mail or Sleepless in Seattle?
Yeah, Sleepless in Seattle.
I thought it was Tom Hanks and Ryan. But anyway, I digress. AIM had just become one of those things that you kind of took for granted. I remember installing in to combine a bunch of different IMs in one, and AIM was always on my list. I've had the same AIM account for years. And yeah, it was just one of those fun, weird, strange... I don't know. It was one of those things that kind of surprised me when they announced last month they were shutting it down.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to streamline because they don't know what they're doing with themselves anymore.
Who, AOL?
Yeah.
AOL knows exactly what they're doing. They're still selling people a little internet. Which is really weird that to think about it. AOL still, I mean, I don't know what the current subscriber count is. Let's see, AOL was founded in 1983. It changed its name to AOL Inc. in 2009. It still employs 5,600 people. It was acquired a couple years ago by Verizon. But they still have, in 2014, they still had 2.2 million subscribers. So AOL is alive and well, just owned by a couple of different years.
They recently bought into Yahoo.
Oh, AOL did, or Verizon?
Yeah. No, AOL did.
Yeah, you can kind of boil down all these companies down to like 2 or 3 parent.
Yep.
Which is one part good, one part sad. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a monopoly when you own all the competition, but you keep it operating under different names versus each other?
What are they? Isn't that called a duopoly?
Yeah,
sort of.
Something like that.
I mean, or it's similar. I don't remember.
I think so. I think a duopoly is when pretty much 2 people own everything, and they kind of just, or 2 or more owner anyway, and they just.
You mean Comcast and Frontier?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole episode dedicated to that whole system, because the airlines do it, the broadband companies, the major ISPs do it, media does it, like television and radio media, they do it. It's kind of fascinating when you start peeling back the layers of how little competition for things there really is.
Yeah.
I think the only place where there's even true competition anymore is the tech.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just
content creation.
But even that is starting to boil down. I mean, Maker Studios, they bought out a whole bunch of content creators for YouTube. That was acquired by Disney, which is owned by ABC Productions, which owns...
No, Disney is the parent company there.
Are they the parent company?
Yep.
Yeah, so they own pretty much everything ABC World as well.
Yep.
So you're talking a large chunk of the networks. It's insane how deep that rabbit hole. We'll have to do that sometime.
Yeah, I sent you a big infographic on that. Like,
yeah,
big.
I have to relook at it and dissect it down even further. I do remember the infographic.
Real big.
Pretty massive.
Yeah. Five companies control all media. Pretty much what that came down to.
Yeah, pretty much. There was another big piece this year. So this was earlier in the year, and it kind of got glossed over a little bit because people just didn't care. But another big chunk of our childhood is kind of sort of going away. That's MP3s.
Yeah, not sad.
Well, AAC blows them out of the water. We grew up on MP3s. Heck, that's still the vernacular for even AAC.
No, Dave. I had a collection of 10,000 songs downloaded, and the majority, I would say probably 80% of them were Og Vorbis.
Oh, really?
Still the best quality you can have.
Yeah.
Except for FLAC. I think FLAC is better. But for streaming, Og Vorbis is where it's at.
Well, AAC, the Advanced Codec, it's been pretty much the standard for a while now.
Yeah.
mean,
Because
MP3, while the container name is still around, AAC has been the codec for a long time.
yeah, it's because that's what Apple uses for all their iTunes stuff.
But
And
I think
Og Vorbis is stuck in the Linux situation where there's no real backing to it. Like it's better quality, but there's no backing to it, so it's not gaining any traction anywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those weird open source that it's amazing, but it just kind of flounders under its own success or lack of success plus lack of exposure.
Yep.
You know, they created an amazing piece of technology and then nothing. But the problem with that and the problem that I've run into with open source, which is why over the last year or so I've kind of transitioned out of open source mode for a lot of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good stuff in open source and it's amazing. But there runs a problem at some point where you have the way the industry moves and demanding that the industry adapts your technology instead of you adapting the industry's technology, you will run yourself into walls left and right, and you'll end up just circling a drain until you can't sustain it.
Yep.
And I think that's where the Og Vorbis comes into play, is that you can't DRM it.
Yep.
And until we figure out piracy issues, which not that DRM stops it, it can throw a hiccup for the smaller players, but I understand why the industry wants to DRM everything. I don't necessarily like it. I don't always agree with it, but at least I understand why they're doing what they're doing.
And
that makes sense.
That's part of why I like the Movies Anywhere service so much. Is they're giving you some extra options, and I imagine we'll see some of that. You know, we'll probably see DRM get better as that service expands too. You know, so they'll keep it wrapped up in their service, but their service covers multiple providers.
Yeah. Yeah, DRM is one of those. On one hand, it's awesome, and on the other hand, in the same way that it's awesome, it's absolutely terrible.
Yep.
And I am all for companies trying to protect their intellectual property.
Yes.
I'm all for the protection against privacy and would illegally copy, illegally download, illegally whatever. But on the flip side of that coin is that DRM can be very obtrusive at times.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be a balance struck somewhere in the middle. However, as long as the ones that are creating the content want to lock it down, you know, you're locking up 20 pennies and a dime in Fort Knox, and there's a problem, and there can be problems. And it's not even a great Fort Knox because a Fort Knox with a skylight doesn't have an alarm system. So it's until a lot of things get solved, I can't be 100% behind it. However, I do like the fact that the WC3, even to the chagrin of the EFF, has come out and said they will work on adding DRM to HTML5 so that video streaming services will stop relying on things like the horrible excuse that Adobe put out for Flash Player, which I don't know how that thing has still survived with all of the gaping security holes. You know, I don't know. How do you feel about? I mean, I know we'll probably end up doing more expanding on this, but you're kind of a creator that way. You're in band stuff.
I
What's your feelings?
generally I'm in favor of it, but I'm also really good about trying to get stuff on as many services as I can. Like if you look at our podcast and where it's available, like when I was setting it up, I was just Googling and trying to hit as many services as I could.
Yeah.
While also trying to make sure, like there's a few of them, a few of the bigger ones that we aren't on. But they required like an exclusivity contract, and so I avoided those.
Like Podcast One and a couple of those like that.
Yeah, and Spreaker, and I don't remember. There's a couple others. So, and like we could have gotten on one of those, but then that's the only one we'd have been on, and it would have been like, oh, find us on Spreaker and download this specific app only to listen to us. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure no matter what device you're listening on, whatever service you already use, you can just be like, oh, I want to add Wonderbury. And it makes the options better for people like that.
Well, it kind of harkens back to the topic that we talking about the video on demand.
Yeah.
And that danger of cutting the cable and destroying the unifying source. Everyone branches out, and instead of having one DRM source for 90% of your content, you now have 90% or 90 DRM sources for 1% of your.
Yep.
And it really kind of shattered, and shattering the status quo, I think, needed to happen because the company was getting too pushy and pushing around. But whenever you break a power structure up, it creates a vacuum. And either one source or a whole bunch of tiny annoying sources are going to fill the vacuum.
Yep. And that one source is going to be Disney.
Yeah, at least for a little while.
Yep. No, I was reading a thing the other day where they're starting to, I think they were like renegotiating contracts for Marvel content because they want to start pulling Marvel content off of other services.
Yeah.
Bring it into their own service. So.
Yeah, the problem is that the other unifying, I think Netflix will be okay because they've
got a lot of other really good content. Yeah.
Well, they're starting to get more original content.
Yep.
Which is amazing. No, the biggest one right now that everyone's buzzing about still is Stranger Things. And don't worry, we're not going to spoil it anything. I still haven't seen all of season.
Oh.
But yeah, Stranger Things is one of those things that's just like, okay, I kind of see where this is. I understand where Netflix is going. They see the writing on the wall that they're no longer going to be a unifying platform for a lot of this stuff, that they're going to have to play catch up and become their own studio to 5-10 years.
Yep. And they're doing a pretty good job. Like, of the Netflix originals I've seen, there's not one I've disliked.
Yeah, I've really liked their content. It's surprising. It kind of surprises me. Amazon Prime is starting to do a lot more original content, which is awesome.
Yep. It makes me wonder how, like, seeing them on the provider side and the content side, like, I'm wondering how, like, if Disney is going to eventually, like, approach Netflix and say, hey, how about you come on in and play our game? You know, and
well, the problem is that Netflix is the number one person that Disney is pulling support for.
Mm-hmm.
Disney did have an exclusive for a long time with Netflix to provide stuff.
Yeah.
And Disney is now severing all of that in favor of their own.
Yep.
The only person going to get hurt by Disney deciding to go on its own is going to be Netflix. No one else really is going to get hurt because they were pouring everything Disney was pouring everything into Netflix. So that's I don't know. On one hand, I get what they're doing. I get why they're doing it. To me, it's yet another service that I don't know. We'll see how it goes. When they start pulling from iTunes and Google Play, Amazon is when I'll start getting.
I don't think they will because it's different. That's
they're selling because they're purchasing the content, not just
streaming it. Yep. You know, so you could, and it's like watching the Disney Channel on TV. You could sit and watch the Disney Channel all day long, but you could also go to Walmart and pick up the Cinderella DVD and watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just trying to make it convenient for streaming and video on demand and stuff. Is it cheaper in the long run? Maybe, maybe not. Does it take up less space? No, because you buy the digital copies. But it's one of those. How often do you use the service? I probably, when Star Trek is over, I will be canceling my CBS All Access. I'm gonna wait till season 2 and I'll re-up it. And it's just because while I'm willing to pay $1.99 or whatever it is per episode of Star Trek, I'm not willing to continue paying that when I'm not watching Star Trek.
No,
it's kind of sad.
How do you feel about Twilight Zone?
I believe I can watch all of Twilight Zone on Netflix, which I already pay for.
Not the new one coming out.
Oh, they're coming out with a new one? I hadn't heard about that.
It's only going to be available on CBS All Access.
I don't want to have to do whatever. I'll probably watch it.
That's kind of what I was like. Well, you got me. You got me.
The only two shows that I would even, the only two possibilities that I would even consider it: Star Trek. Now apparently Twilight.
Yep.
Oh, CBS. I think you put out other quality content.
There was mention of a third one that I don't remember that I was kind of like, yeah, it could be all right. So,
yeah,
they might end up making it. They might end up making the service good. Surprisingly, blowing all of our minds.
They've blown away every expectation I had with Star Trek. So we'll see how it goes.
Yep. And that's what they said. They were like, well, that worked out pretty good. Let's do another show.
Yeah, they kind of shattered the expectations of the platform. So,
yep.
Good on you guys for purchasing it out to watch Star Trek. That's what was kind of neat.
Yeah, and that was the first All Access exclusive show.
Yep.
The second one, I don't remember what it's called, but it starts the week after Star Trek ends. So I'm interested to see what that's going to be like. But I'm also wondering, I'm like, okay, so if you're going to have 4 shows that just rotate throughout a year, why wouldn't you just put that on a different service?
Well, because once again, they get more money for it by having their own setup.
Yep. They get a full $5.99 a month from each person watching.
Yeah, at least. And up to $9.99 if people decide they want to pay for no commercials.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It's once again goes back to, we created a power vacuum and now everyone's trying to.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's, I don't know.
So
The last piece of tech that kind of died this year off, did it in a very blaze of glory, underwhelming way, with Windows Phone.
Yeah.
Which they've switched gears and kind of gone all in on Android, with one caveat that kind of ticked me off with this latest fall update. So the Fall Creators Update, which I'm still going through all this stuff, and I want to put together a full what all happened. But one of the biggest things that they talked about in the Fall Creators Update was the ability to connect your Windows 10 directly into Android. And I was excited about that. I was excited to be able to push stuff from my phone to my computer seamlessly, nicely, awesome. There'd be a unified streaming service I could do this with. One problem. They baked it into their own launcher. In order to access all of that wonderful Android to Windows 10 connectivity, you have to run the Windows launcher. And
that
you also have to give it access to everything. It was very interesting, very strange. I ran it for a day. Didn't really like it too much. I find myself going back to my Pixel launcher way too often, wanting to use it more and more every day.
Seeing the access, the all access doesn't bother me because I know Microsoft has all the same information about me that Google does.
Yeah, no, that didn't bother me so much as it was.
But I like my launcher. I like how my phone's set up.
Yeah, I've gotten used to, with the Pixel, of not having a button anymore to open the app. And I know you can download third-party launcher, but to have it baked in where I just swipe up and it opens up my launcher, I've trained my thumb to do that. And it just, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff with it I didn't like. It felt clunky in a lot of places. And I don't know. They did release the Edge browser for Android, so there's that. They're now trying to push for Edge browser to be seamless. So, like, Chrome,
you'd think if they wanted to push Edge browser, they'd get it working good enough that when their own people are doing presentations, they wouldn't have to stop using Edge browser and install Google Chrome to continue with their presentation.
Yeah, that made me laugh pretty hard. But I will say this, the transition that they're trying to go for in Edge is what I wish that Google would do. And that is, when I open up my browser, any browser that I have, it's automatically synced all of my tabs that are open. And I can just open up the tabs from one to the other without having to send them or search for them or something. If I have 6 tabs open on my desktop and I pick up my phone and I open up the browser, I should have those same exact 6 tabs on my browser.
I've wondered about that, but I've noticed that I do different things in the browser on my phone than what I do on my computer. Like on my computer, yes. I have Inbox open, and I have a tab with Google Drive because I use that daily. And then I have, I have our website editing site open. I do stuff in the browser on my computer that isn't reasonable to do in the browser on my phone.
And while I would agree with you, I do a lot of my browsing and searching for stuff on my phone that I don't do on my computer. And I wish that I more wish that I could easily open up all of my phone's browser tabs on my computer.
Yeah.
And
opening one of them isn't bad.
Can.
Well,
right, I can't just.
You've got the recents button. Like if you go in.
Yeah, but that works
Chrome.
only half the time. Sometimes it doesn't work if you have active open tabs on the mobile device. There used to be an option, and I can't find it anymore, where I could go through and I could open tabs. Like I open a new tab, and then I could have open from other device, and it would open up a folder which would show me every tab open on my mobile. And same with the desktop side on the mobile. I could open that up, click on it, and I could look at all of the open tabs and then click which webpage I wanted to open on my device.
That button's just called Recents now.
But Recents doesn't do all that stuff that I need it to anymore. It will do that, but it will also show me almost like a history of everything that I've also closed. It won't show me open active windows.
No, it does. That's exactly in all that does. And it'll show you a couple of recently closed, but it shows you what is currently open on your other browsers.
Yeah, I have 12 tabs open on my browser. I'm showing 3 on my mobile right now. So, I don't know.
You have so many problems with tech, it blows my mind.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But who knows? Maybe they'll fix it one day. Or maybe I just need to reset everything and start over.
That would help
We'll figure it out.
I've noticed after years of collecting data on myself that I did a full cache wipe and cleaned a bunch of stuff out maybe 6 months ago. Actually, it was when I got the new laptop. Went through, just cleaned everything out, and it was just like everything started working smooth. I was like, oh, I guess that's what I needed. Trimmed some fat.
Nice. Well, I think that's going to about do it for this week, brother.
Yep. So
5 days, 13 hours, 17 minutes, smoke free.
Woo! I'm only like 30 minutes, and I'm about to end that record here shortly.
Yep.
But if you like us, check us out on Patreon. We never charge you monthly, so sign up and then get a surprise bill someday when I go update it.
Yeah. And until next week, guys, we'll see you guys later.